TGR. What's up, guys? It's Rudy, and welcome to the weekly resume. There are a couple of topics that I wanted to go ahead and cover, but I did want to go ahead and let you all know, if you didn't see the reaction from earlier, Onyx is going on vacation, so you're stuck with a little me. But there are a couple of topics that we wanted to go ahead and talk about, and Onyx did voice his opinion on a couple of things, so there might be some things that happen in between things. So let's start off with the obvious. There was a demo to a pretty epic game that released earlier this week, and that is Final Fantasy VII Remake. If you haven't paid attention to previous podcasts or anything like that, I have not completed the first original Final Fantasy VII that came out on PS1. I did finish, I believe, all the way up until exiting Midgar, and then from there my attention was just averted to something else entirely different. So this game is essentially a really good example of somebody like me playing an old classic, just reimagining of that, or essentially a remake. Now, I just wanted to talk about our initial impressions of it. I, for one, fell in love with the art style. Definitely reminiscent of how I remember Midgar and that opening sequence. There are plenty of channels and videos that are out there that go ahead and kind of break down everything and compare it to the original. But there is one thing that I definitely noticed, and Onyx noticed as well as we were playing through and kind of like talking about things and whatnot, and that is the music. I'm going to go ahead and let Onyx voice his opinion right now.
So I have a problem with the music. Even though the music isn't bad by any means, it's what you would say overly orchestrated, right? It's the original music in the original release had a very dark synth feel. I mean, just listen to the Mako Reactor, the original Mako Reactor. And listen to the new one. It's very different. So my biggest complaint right now, with the little time that I've gotten in, with the game, the demo, is just that the music isn't as original sounding, in my opinion. It's not bad. It sounds fine, but I think it's overstated by everything else going around. So it's almost like the tune of the music, the rhythm, the memorable parts are lost in this overly produced version of the soundtrack. And that's my biggest gripe. I still think it's a good demo and a good representation of what we're going to get, but right now I'm not sure if everything else will fall into place. And that's it. All right, guys, bye.
So yeah, I mean, pretty much I agree 100% with what he said. To me, it does feel like they kind of went above and beyond and almost over orchestrated what was there, if that's even a thing. But and I don't blame them. I'm going to, err on, on the positive side of things. I don't blame them for going that far, because Final Fantasy VII is their baby. So, yeah, I enjoyed it. I think it's beautiful. Everything is amazing. It's just, it felt like they definitely went above and beyond with the music, which isn't a bad thing. It just feels like it's over orchestrated in comparison to the original. Moving on. There is an article from Game Informer that I wanted to go ahead and talk about. Well, pretty much they interviewed everything and why Half-Life Alyx had to be in VR and whatnot. But the last thing that I wanted to focus on was their last question, where they go ahead and say, what would you like to say to fans who are hoping this means you're still working on Half-Life 3? Now, Half-Life 3, if you don't know, it has been it's almost a meme. Well, it is a meme at this point, because people have been asking for it forever, and Half-Life Alyx is just, hopefully We'll see what happens. Their response was, Half-Life means a lot to us, and it's been incredibly rewarding to refamiliarize ourselves with its characters, setting, and mechanics. There are Half-Life Alyx team members who have been at Valve since Half-Life 2, and quite a few who go back to the original Half-Life. There are also people on the team for whom Half-Life Alyx is their first time working on this series at all, and many of them certainly hope it's not the last. We absolutely see Half-Life Alyx as our return to this world, not the end of it. Guys, that pretty much says that Half-Life 3 is going to happen. I mean, I know I'm grasping for straws at this point, but you know, the question was pretty much point blank. You know, are you still working on, does this mean that you're still working on Half-Life 3? And that is essentially them saying, yes, we are working on something. That doesn't mean that it's Half-Life 3, but this isn't the end of us exploring the world of Half-Life. So hopefully, you know, we get a little bit more information. We'll see what happens. Valve has been pretty secretive about this entire thing. They just kind of, you know, shadow dropped Half-Life Alyx onto us without, you know, saying anything. So definitely excited for that. The next thing that I wanted to go ahead and talk about is The Last of Us. So for those of you that do know, there has been a movie that's been in the works. Same thing with Uncharted, and its troubled issues with its director. But The Last of Us, the movie, has essentially been shelved, and the creator of Chernobyl, Craig Mazin, I'm pretty sure I butchered the name. If I did, let me know in the comments below. He's the one that, you know, gave Chernobyl that pretty much almost a fearful vibe, and I love the aesthetic and the way that the direction went in regards to the framing, composition, and essentially the whole feel of Chernobyl. So I'm excited to see what they could do in regards to The Last of Us. HBO has been known to, you know, essentially, well, they've been known to really go above and beyond in regards to some of their stories and retellings. Now, I do know some people, they feel, and I'm sure Onyx will, if he was here, he would say that, you know, it essentially was a movie. The Last of Us, the game, was a movie. There was a bunch of cinematics, there was a bunch of set pieces. It's a movie. But I have to say that this isn't for gamers. It's for people that are outside of the gaming industry, I guess would be the best way of saying it. The people that just want to sit there and watch a movie and watch a TV show. So if it retains some of those people that played The Last of Us, and those viewers actually go or those gamers actually watch and view the series, great, awesome. But I feel like they're targeting more people that are, you know, not gamers per se. Now, they did say that they are going to be focusing on the original story of The Last of Us Part 1 and nothing to do with Part 2. If we see Part 2 in the future, awesome, great, but I don't know how this is gonna go. I don't know if it's a mini series or if they're just gonna go above and beyond. So pretty cool information in regards to that. I personally love The Last of Us, despite its you know, mechanical flaws in regards to the game. I did love the story, even more so now as a parent. So I'm excited to see what HBO will go ahead and do with that. The last thing that I wanted to go ahead and talk about is GDC. So the day that we went ahead and well, actually the day after we finished recording our weekly resume, and the day that we, you know, took it out of early preview for patrons and YouTube members and released it to the public, GDC went ahead and officially announced that they postponed the Game Developers Conference. This is essentially, you know, with a way to thwart the spread of the coronavirus. That, you know, if you haven't paid attention to the news, it's essentially, you know, a virus that's going out there, and it's spreading from person to person and whatnot. So any sort of large event that has plenty of people shaking hands and doing whatnot, like, you know, they're trying to avoid that from happening. Now, there are a lot of indie developers that go to GDC in hopes to, you know, either sell the game, partner up with specific publishers, network, whatever it may be, or just showcase their games. So this is definitely a hit. I know that Polygon, they posted an article talking about that specific thing. Do I think that that's a bad thing that GDC went ahead and postponed? No, I think that's a very smart decision, because at the end of the day, the health of not only, you know, the staff and the individuals that go there, but also the attendees, as well as the developers, you know, that's something to take into account. My other thing is, because of GDC and the steps that they took, should E3 do the same thing this June if this virus is still going around being spread should E3 go ahead and essentially not have E3 and go kind of like the PlayStation experience and the Nintendo Direct route. I know Xbox has pretty much said, hey, we are definitely dedicated to E3, but you know, if the ESA goes ahead and says, hey, like we're not gonna have this because of the coronavirus, I don't know. We'll see what happens. Jason Schreier, I don't know if it's Schreier or Schreier. I, again, butcher names. Let me know in the comments below. But he went ahead and he tweeted that, you know, if E3 goes the same route and doesn't go ahead and hold E3, will a lot of these large companies go ahead and have direct style, you know, fully digital events, and then kind of see that, oh wow, we can still have the same impact and, you know, not lose out on sales, marketing opportunity, and so on and so forth, and essentially as a byproduct kill E3. That's something that I saw and I was like, wow, that actually is a pretty valid point. As corporations go, they're all about, you know, saving money and making sure that they stay in the black. So we'll see what happens. I know Devolver Digital, they had their whole their Direct, which was pretty awesome last year, and then PlayStation, obviously with the PlayStation experience and whatnot, and Nintendo has their stuff, but they also have a treehouse, which I appreciate because it gives you a little bit more of an insight in regards to what and how the games work and whatnot. But Xbox is essentially the only Xbox, Ubisoft, and EA last year, that was a little weird, but those are the ones that essentially have a large conference. So it would be very interesting to see what or how they would do that if E3 was canceled. So aside from that, guys, that's essentially it that I wanted to go ahead and talk to you guys about. This is obviously a discussion. If you have, you know, any comments or ideas in regards to everything that's been going on, whether it's, you know, The Last of Us, Half-Life 3, which, well, Half-Life Alyx and the potential for Half-Life 3, and GDC and kind of like E3 and the coronavirus that's being spread around. Let us know in the comments below. Obviously, you know, subscribe. That way you can go ahead and see our weekly resumes coming out every week. And we stream typically on Thursdays. Doesn't really happen all the time, but mainly it's been working. I think there's only been like 2 Thursdays that we've missed. So like, comment, subscribe, and join our Discord. That way you can go ahead and chat with us about all this stuff. Until next time, guys, deuces.
Hope you enjoyed the video. If you want to see more and stay up to date, subscribe, hit the little bell, and join our Discord.
If you want to support the channel, please check out our Patreon or hit the join button below. As always, thanks for your support and thanks for watching.